Hi everyone, my name is Sherry Gould, and in October of 2015 I took on the new role of the Curriculum Steering Committee Coordinator. Welcome to this screencast designed to familiarize you with the CSC, or Curriculum Steering Committee, site. This site, which educators in this district can access through their rsu19.net account, is the official curriculum site. This is where you can find the most current committees, meeting dates, and curriculum documents. Because the site is web-based, you can access it anywhere you have internet access. And because the work is done in Google, you can be assured you'll be accessing the most current versions of the work. That, of course, means that you won't want to print hard copies of the documents and trust that they haven't been revised. This work represents a living document, one which is subject to change as we pilot assessments and review them through the lens of student work. To access the site, you'll first want to make sure that you're logged into your rsu19.net account. If you've forgotten your username or your password, please email Kern Kelly with a request for support. I find that the Chrome browser is best for using Google Drive and Google Sites. So as you can see here, I've logged into my account. Next, I click on the dot matrix right up here to bring up the Google Docs that I can access. Then I click on Sites. You might have to scroll down till you see more. Yours may not show up in the same way that mine do. Now, your page, when you click on Sites, is going to look a little bit different than mine. These are the sites that I have quick access to. If the Curriculum Steering Committee site doesn't show up for you, you can search for it by clicking on Browse Sites and then typing Curriculum Steering Committee in the box. If it still doesn't show up for you, you'll see the web address later in the screencast. Or you can always send me an email and I'll reply with a link to the site. So when you click on that, you'll come to the home page of the CSC site. On the right, you'll see a list of all of the members of the Curriculum Steering Committee, including the subject area leader or the SAL for each content area. In addition, you'll notice that the 4 core content areas, ELA, Math, Science, and Social Studies, each have an assistant SAL. These SALs and assistant SALs are the teacher leaders who are your points of contact for discipline-specific questions. So reach out to them if you have questions, comments, or concerns. At the bottom of the list, you'll see a link to the job description for the SALs if you're interested in taking a look at that. In the middle of the CSC homepage is the document that guides our committee's work. Our first task was to use a protocol to identify the graduation standards that RSU19 would require students to demonstrate proficiency in. These are clear expectations based on national standards and state standards in each content area of what we want every student to know and be able to do in each grade span. In RSU19, we refer to these as graduation standards, no matter what grade they're for. They're consistent in grades pre-K through 12 in each content area. The next step for the content area committees was to continue to dig deeply into the standards and to identify performance indicators for each graduation standard. Performance indicators are the SWABOT, or the students will be able to statements, that, taken together, are used to demonstrate proficiency at the standard level. Each committee used a protocol and a design guide to focus our collaborative thinking. And both of those tools, the protocol and the design guide, are available on the CSC site. And the design guide in particular is worth the time to review because it will help you to better understand the thinking behind the work. Once graduation standards and performance indicators were designed, subject area leaders led their committees in writing scoring criteria for each performance indicator. For RSU 19, the scoring criteria is written in I can statements, which reveal a progressive statement of cognitive rigor at each of the 4 proficiency levels. Again, each committee used a protocol and a design guide to collaboratively do this work. And I would strongly encourage you to take a look at the design guide for scoring criteria. You'll notice that frequency words such as sometimes and seldom, as well as quantity words like some and few, aren't in our scoring criteria because those words mean different things to different people. And deficit language isn't there either because we want to focus on what students can do as we look at their work, not on what they can't do. So the performance indicators, along with their respective scoring criteria, are used to develop summative assessments that are intended to be used district-wide. And just as was done with the previous work, committees depend on an assessment development protocol and a design guide to create assessments and to review existing assessments. Because we're designing a district curriculum, all assessments are created using a template, and they're housed in this site so that every district educator can access them as needed. And of course, a common assessment structure is also a benefit for our students as well. By the end of the 2016-2017 school year, each content area committee is expected to have developed at least one standards-based assessment for each grade. In addition, SALs are facilitating the development of standards-based unit plans for each of these assessments. Unit plans use a UBD, or Understanding by Design, model with 3 stages. Stage 1 identifies the standards and indicators, the guiding principles for the unit, an essential question for the unit, and critical vocabulary for the unit. Stage 2 identifies the summative assessments students will take at the end of the unit, as well as the scoring criteria. And Stage 3 digs into the daily instruction. As we develop Stage 3, we identify learning targets that all teachers will use as they teach the unit, formative assessments for those learning targets that we recommend all teachers use, and learning activities that teachers may use. The intent is to provide clear learning outcomes while allowing for individual teacher expertise in how students will reach those learning outcomes. Again, there's a template for the unit plans, which ensures consistency for instruction across the district. And as with all the other curriculum work, the unit plans are housed in this site. So let's turn to the sidebar on the left now. You'll notice that there are subpages for the CSC homepage. Those are CSC meeting presentations, CSC meetings, and curriculum storage. Here's also a page for the curriculum groups for 2016-17. So if you want to see who's on what committee, there's a spreadsheet here for you to take a look at. Clicking on this first subpage of CSC meeting presentations will take you to each of the keynote presentations that have been designed and have been shared to help build conceptual understanding and direction for the RSU 19 proficiency-based curriculum. You, as RSU 19 educators, can access and review each of these as needed. And administrators, as well as SALs, are encouraged to use them, or parts of them, in your own work with colleagues. The next page, CSC Meetings, takes you to a page where you can find all of the agendas and the meeting notes for each CSC meeting that subject area leaders and assistant subject area leaders attend. Jean Hager, our Great Schools Partnership Coach, and I design and facilitate these monthly meetings as we build capacity with teacher leaders in designing and implementing a standards-based curriculum in RSU 19. in that 2016-17 folder, you'll also find a document for each of the meeting dates for each content area, as well as the spreadsheet that has the lists each committee's membership. Also, most of you can pretty much ignore this page, the curriculum storage page. This was designed for use by subject area leaders and assistant SALs to input the standards, performance indicators, and scoring criteria. And while that work's been completed, the page is still active because we anticipate some minor changes as we pilot assessments and then use the scoring criteria with real student work. So that really is a page that you'll probably access very, very little, if ever. So let's look at the sidebar on the left once more. You'll notice that there are some additional pages here, which include assessment design, proficiency-based learning, unit design, standards development. These pages all have a variety of resources and tools to help you to better understand this work. So I would really encourage you to take some time and poke around. Here you'll see a link to unit design, because whenever we build a summative assessment, the first step is to complete stage 1 of the unit plan. So here you'll see a template that we're using to develop the unit plans. The pages that you as district educators are, let's come back here. The pages that you as district educators are most likely to visit most frequently are these. These are the subject area pages of the CSC site. Each content area contains the same folders. You'll see agendas, assessments, minutes, standards with the performance indicators and scoring criteria, and unit plans. And within these folders, you're going to find the documents that you need as you plan your own instruction. For example, within the standards folder, you will see a spreadsheet for each graduation standard that you'll want to take a look at. We'll wait just a minute till it opens up here. So you'll see that they are separated by standard. So we're in the math folder, we're in the standards folder. Here's standard 1. When we click on that, you'll see that it gives you a very broad look at the performance indicators for the first standard. And then clicking on a tab at the bottom of this page will take you to the scoring criteria for each performance indicator that's listed there. So teachers at each grade level should familiarize themselves with our district standards, our district performance indicators, scoring criteria, and also review the assessments that are in the folders. Review those assessments that your colleagues have designed and that your colleagues have gotten ready for you to pilot. So the class of 2019 is the first district class that will graduate in a proficiency-based system. With the support of administration, SALs, and assistant SALs, each district teacher is encouraged and expected to use the work that's been done as they plan instruction and assess learning. So the CSC site will continue to grow as the curriculum develops. There'll be more assessments, there'll be more fully developed unit plans, there'll be daily learning targets that are organized by indicator, and more. The CSC site will house the living document, the living curriculum document for RSU 19. So it's my hope that you'll visit the site often and you'll use the resources within the site with your colleagues. Consider using a grade level meeting to explore it together and discuss how you might pilot an assessment and how you'll give feedback to the content area committee and how you'll share some student work with them. Because it's really important that you share your experience and that you share your student work with the SAL or the committee that designed the assessment so that everybody can learn together. Also, every district teacher is now part of a content area committee. Some of you are attending monthly meetings regularly. Some of you are only planning to attend during district in-service days, but I would encourage you to attend the monthly meetings as often as you're able, because that will really help you to better understand the work and contribute to the work that's being done. So in closing, I hope that this screencast has been helpful to you. If you have any comments or questions about the site or about the work, please email me, because your feedback is always welcome. Thanks for listening.